I was going to do a whole thing for the introduction, but I decided not to. Anyways, this is the introduction video for Political Science 1, Introduction to Government. Hopefully everything's working. If not, I'll just redo this again. But I'll be the instructor, Danny Kono, so I just wanted to give everyone the opportunity to see my face. And I was just going to talk about some of the expectations for class and, our Zoom session for this coming Friday for fall semester 2020. After I post this online on YouTube and then to our class on Canvas, I'll put my secondary email information on the post, and then I will also put our Zoom link on the post. Things that are already posted onto Canvas, our syllabus is on there. And you'll start to notice, I think for the most part, I already have many of our modules set up for this class. In terms of expectations, I'm also teaching Intro to Political Theory. What I told those students is that, surprisingly enough, I'm really not going to lecture. I know it sounds kind of scary, so you really shouldn't have that expectation. What I'm really looking forward to is, your critical engagement with the material and asking me questions. And so in order to facilitate that, probably the most important part of this short video is that we'll all have individual homework assignments, summary assignments. And all this stuff is laid out in the syllabus, and we'll talk about it more on Friday in our Zoom session. But attached to this announcement is going to be the random assignment of people to particular readings for the next 15 weeks. And so what we'll do starting essentially in week 2 next week is the 3 or 4 people that are assigned, which you can see, which will be in the attachment and is also already up on Canvas in the modules, is those 3 or 4 people will essentially, following the syllabus, will write a page-long summary of the reading, single space, 12 fonts, inch margins, don't cheat, and was it five key terms, I think, or yeah, 5 key terms from the reading. So you'll have the readings, the free book to download, all that information already on Canvas, the free book, and then you'll basically say why this term is important and what it basically means, as best as you can figure out from the readings. It's pretty straightforward. And then questions. 5 questions that you had about the readings. And don't ask me questions about what I think about things. Ask me questions in which you're puzzled or don't know. So don't ask me, like, who are you going to vote for president? Because honestly, I'll tell you who I'm going to vote for president. I'm not going to vote. But that's how I kind of want the homeworks to go. And then those 3 and 4 people on our weekly Zoom sessions will basically be sharing their summaries and questions with the entire class. And that's kind of how our sessions are going to go. I don't expect them to go the entire 3 hours because, if you haven't noticed, I've already begun uploading my lectures for the week. And so those will supplement our in-person Zoom session. So I think that's a way of getting engagement, and I also think that's a way of making our time not so super boring. With regards to participation, which will be 15% of the grade, you'll have weekly quizzes of pretty simple questions of the material covered in that week. The bulk of the class is the 2 tests. They're both 20%, so 40% total. And it's all this material, that we'll cover from the first half of class and the second half of class. I have notes uploaded to help you, but again, you really have to read. You really have to watch those videos, and you're really going to have to join the Zoom sessions and ask questions when you're confused if you expect to get an A in the class. The last component of the class is a paper. I think it's 15%, right? So these summaries are 20 that you'll have to do, and the paper's 15, where you're just going to write your own amendment. So you're going to find a problem, identify a problem in the U.S. You're going to explain how an amendment would solve that particular problem, whether it's universal health care or something along those lines. And then you will explain how an amendment gets adopted into the Constitution. So this class actually, even in person, isn't too tough. I think the hardest thing is just if you don't have any interest in this material, gaining an interest. I'm actually kind of worried that people might have too much interest because of the upcoming election. I've never actually taught this class during a presidential election. And so what I will say, in terms of my terms, I try and be as unbiased as possible. I'll give you an example. So last semester, I tend to use this term a lot. I'll say extra-legal immigrants or extra-legal citizens, because if I were to say undocumented or illegal immigrant, I'm going to upset somebody. So I try and kind of find these ways in the middle of addressing things. But even again, if you're very passionate one or the other, that's going to upset you. So we do talk about kind of upsetting things potentially, so be aware of that. I try and talk about these things as neutral and unbiased as possible. And then my last note would be, especially when you're writing this material and writing your responses to things, I actually don't care about real politics. I'm much more interested in like these kind of philosophical foundations of the United States. And so what I will say is that, many of you might be very passionate, might be activists, might be affected by these different things, and that's great. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. But in terms of expectations for this class, like I tend to say, is I don't care what you think, but in a good way. And what I mean by that is I'm not going to try and convince you of anything, so don't try and convince me of anything. What I'm really looking forward to is this kind of critical thought, and this will probably be very true when we look at the party platforms during, I think, week 8 of our material, which is, can you understand a side you disagree with, and can you present that side that you disagree with in the best light possible? And I think it's just a skill that's kind of just generally lacking in our society today. So that's pretty much it. I think this is streaming. We'll see if it worked or not. I'll watch it in a second. All this additional information will be posted on Canvas. Again, I look forward to seeing everyone virtually on Friday, or if you just put your blank square, but put your audio on, however you guys want to do it. I'm really trying to make this class as accommodating as possible. Last thing I guess I should talk about is this malware situation where you can't email. People maybe want to add to class. The school's already instructed the faculty to be as accommodating as possible. So, try and keep in contact with me as best you can. If you don't have access to things right now, but you are in the class and you see this video in 2 weeks, like I'm not going to fail you because you could not get online for the next couple weeks, good in Canvas and things like that. So that's it, short and sweet. I look forward to talking to people in person, and hopefully that this introduction works. You see my face and